So there's a specific show that's been running for about a month now, and if you saw the title of the video, the thumbnail, or the green screen behind me, you can probably figure out what show I'm talking about, and that's Star Wars Skeleton Crew. And I'm sure many of you have been wondering, why haven't I made a video on this, or a review, or anything of the sort, especially after my Acolyte videos seem to do pretty well. But I haven't seen any of the show, is the reason why. And here I'm going to be explaining why I haven't seen any of it, and why I will probably never watch a single episode of this show, ever. Unless I get a crap ton of requests to do it. And it's for one specific reason. And I'm sure that reason is pretty obvious. Well, I guess there are two then. One, because the Star Wars franchise is dead. Now, I'm sure many of you already know this because I've said this several times, but pretty much Star Wars fans always seem to disagree when the Star Wars franchise really died. A lot of people say it was Last Jedi, some say it was Rise of Skywalker, some, like me, say it was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then some who say it was The Acolyte, which came out over the summer. But like I said, I would say it's around Obi-Wan Kenobi when the franchise really died. Because that was the point where me and many other people realized that Disney does not care about this franchise. We already knew they were incompetent with this franchise, but now it was to the point where we all realized that they didn't give a shit about this franchise anymore. And The Acolyte was just a disaster all the way around. And I wasn't even planning to do videos on all of The Acolyte. Like, I wasn't intending to do what I did with Percy Jackson to make a video after every episode. But that's just how it turned out. Partially because my video on episode 3 did extremely well. But I wasn't even going to watch episode 3 originally. If you recall, if you saw my first video on The Acolyte, which many people didn't watch my video on the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte, I'm guessing because nobody cared about the show at the time, but I stated that I probably wasn't going to watch the rest of the show. But then I saw all of the stuff coming out about episode 3, how it was one of the worst things to ever be put on television, to the point where I was compelled to make a video on it. And that also became a running joke throughout that entire series, where I was drinking throughout the entirety of the show, where I would have a bottle of alcohol any single time I reviewed an episode of the show. So, and apparently people really liked that bit, so I kept it up throughout the entire thing. But if you'll notice, the reason I came back to that show, but the first 2 episodes were so boring and so lifeless that I was considering that I was not going to watch anymore. But I went back to it because it got so outrageously bad. That's the reason why the ratings kind of spiked in episode 3. And if you need proof of that for that show, just look at how many reviews there are on IMDb. Don't necessarily look at the scores because they're all bad. But look just how many more reviews there are for episode 3 than all of the other ones. There are probably more for episode 3 than all of the other 7 episodes combined. So, and that's really the main thing with this show. There is nothing that entices me about this show, whether good or bad. Because I had no interest in this story. This just looked like a ripoff of Goonies. And there was nothing bad enough about it that drew me to this. I never even did a video on a trailer for this like I did for The Acolyte. Because again, The Acolyte trailer was so awful that I had to talk about it. If I don't feel compelled to make a video on something, I'm probably not going to. And hell, even if I am compelled to make a video, there's only like a 75% chance that it's actually going to happen. I was compelled to do a video on that crappy-looking Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show coming out this month, yet I still haven't made a video on it. And by the way, I'm probably not going to do a video on it until it comes out, so don't expect me to do one on it. Although, by the way, yes, that twerp that he was saving at the beginning of that is apparently supposed to be Harry Osborn, and he's some, like, gay black dude from the way he looks, and they race swapped Norman Osborn as well, so yeah, that show was already woke garbage, so I can tell that's gonna suck ass. But at least, thankfully, that's an alternate timeline and not the real MCU ones, but which raises the question, I don't know why they're doing it in the first place, but I digress. Oh, and if you're wondering what I thought of What If Season 3 as well, while I'm on the topic of Marvel here, I haven't seen it, but rest assured, I've seen plenty of clips on Twitter, Instagram, and all the other social media sites, so I think you can expect a video about that soon, but I've got some other things to get to first, mainly my top and bottom 15, which will be coming within the next 2 days, probably, I promise. I said probably because it might be tomorrow, it might be the next day, but it will be within the next 2 days. But yeah, if you notice, I haven't really talked about Skeleton Crew much in this video on Skeleton Crew because I'm mainly explaining why I'm not watching this show, and I guess why I've been talking about other stuff instead of this in its own video kind of proves my case as to just how little of impact this show, even though I didn't even watch it, how little this show leaves of an impact, because nobody's talking about this. Everybody was talking about The Acolyte when it was running because it was so bad. Everybody talked about Obi-Wan Kenobi when it came out because it was so bad. Everyone talked about Ahsoka when it came out because there were the shills that were defending it, saying it was the greatest thing since the Clone Wars, and then you had people like me who pointed out the obvious problems, saying it was just as bad as everything else as Disney has shit out. And as you probably know, I'm a big fan of real Star Wars, not Disney's fan fiction that they've been shitting out for the past 10 years. The only things I've liked out of Disney Star Wars, which I should do a video on all the stuff I liked out of Disney Star Wars, because there's only a few, are Star Wars Rebels, Rogue One, and Solo. That is fucking it. Even the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, I thought were just mediocre. They had some good episodes, they had some really shitty episodes too. Like, everyone praised that last episode of Season 2, I thought it was shit until the Luke Skywalker scene was actually kind of cool. And then Season 3 was an absolute dumpster fire, and I don't think the movie's going to be any better. So yeah, basically, in short, I'm not going to watch this show unless people really, really want me to see it. And even still, I might not unless somebody gives me a reason to watch it. Like if somebody points out just how bad this show is, or there's some really stupid shit in this show, I probably won't watch a single second of it. So yeah, that's why I have no videos on this show. And I know the videos probably would have gotten me a ton of views on it, but if it's not worth my time, I'm not going to waste time on it. So that's all I got for this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.